Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone, who I respect Miss Ria Antika as a lecturer of morphology. And for the first, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Muhammad Faisal Rahmadin. I am from class 4 SEJP 1 and I am a student of English literature, and today we are going presentation about the borrowing. And for the first, we divided this presentation in 6 parts. And for the first is definition of borrowing, and number 2 is types of borrowing, and next 3 reasons of borrowing, and the number 4 is effects of borrowing, and number 5 is word from process borrowing, and the last is conclusion. And for the first, borrowing refers to the process by which a word of morpheme is borrowed from one language into another English language, as adopt a vast number of words from other language and vice versa. And the next is direct borrowing. A word is taken from one language and used as in another language. The borrowed word keeps its original form and meaning, with only minor adjustment with the pronunciation or spelling of the borrowing language. And next is indirect borrowing. Indirect borrowing, elements of a words of praise are translated into the borrowing language to create a new expression. Instead of borrowing the word directly, the borrowing language constructs a new term using its existing linguistic patterns. And for the example from the direct borrowing, English borrow word sushi from Japan's or cafe from French. And next is the example from indirects. English borrow words kafe Turkish, kafe Arabic, coffee Dutch, coffee from the English. And next is types of borrowing. For the first is loanwords. A loanword is word that belongs to one language with imports or adopted by another. For example, catamaran was imported into English from Tamil, and shopping was imported into French as le shopping. And next is loan shift. A loan shift is borrowing that done by translating the meaning of the vocabulary items. English loans are also translated into other languages. And the next is likely loans. In practice, most of the words that are borrowed belongs to the open lexical class. For the example is nouns, verbs, adjectives. And next is the reason of borrowing. There is really no purely linguistic reason for borrowing. It's relatively rare for speakers to create completely new words. When a stable word exists in another language, the easy thing in the word to do is to adopt that word rather than to make up an original from nothing. This is a reason for borrowing. Another obvious reason for borrowing is to provide a word that meets a need for a world where no suitable English one exists. When new concepts, creature, artifact, institution, religion, etc. are introduced through contact with speakers of another language, the words for them from the source language tend to be retained at various periods in history. Different civilizations have been prominent in one part or another. And the next is the effect of borrowing. For the first is phonological effect. Old English skip from the skip had become ip ship. Skip skype had become ip ship. And scranken and hit become ranken, and etc. As a consonant cluster, X become extinct, although S and K continue to occur in other combination. And the next is grammatical effect. Many Latin words ending in example is datum take as their plural suffix data, thus ending in as in the singular. Example fungus take I in the plural fungi, thus ending in singular. A larva take at in the plural larvae. And the next is semantic effect. An often cited example is the Old English noun. Do are this word original mean any beast? But when the French word animal was borrowed, the original words do are which eventually become there was restricted, denoting the class of ruminant mammals with the antlers. And the next is word from process of borrowing. The phonological adaptation. The borrowed word may undergo change in pronunciation to align with the phonetic system of the borrowing language. This can involve modifying sounds or altering the stress patterns. And the next is orthographic adaptation. The spelling of a borrowed words may be modified to conform to the writing convention of the borrowing language. This can involve adjusting letters, removing the accents, or changing the word visual appearance. And the next is morphological adaptation. The borrowed words may undergo morphological change to fit the morphology of the borrowing language. This can involve adding affix, inflectional endings, or altering word structures. And the meaning of a borrowed word can sometimes. And the next is semantic adaptation. The meaning of semantic adaptation is a borrowed word can sometimes shift or expand in the borrowing language. This can occur due to cultural difference of contextual usage. And the next is loanwords integration. Over time, loanwords can integrate more fully into the borrowing language and undergo naturalization process. And the next, this can involve change in pronunciation, spelling, morphology, and meaning to align more closely with the native words. And for the last is the conclusion. In conclusion, borrowing word is a natural and dynamic process that occurs when languages interact and exchange vocabulary. It involves incorporating words from one language into another, enriching the receiving language with the new terms, concept, and expression. Thank you and have a great day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.